How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the first male fairy demon in the Winx Club? Huge shout out to Chief 1256 for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Prologue. In order to save his country and the people he loves, Naruto sacrificed himself. But Chaos, the creator of everything, took pity on him and decided to send him to another world, the world of Althea. There, Naruto will be the first male fairy to ever exist, and show the world that even with a tainted power you can do good things. Follows mostly canon of Winx Club. Chapter 1. Give it up, Naruto! You can't win against me! Sasuke shouted from across the river. Sasuke! Just please tell me first. Why are you doing this? Why? Ha ha! He replied with a ridiculing laugh. You already know the answer to that, don't you? It's for my revenge against Konoha, of course. With the power of the Rinnegan and the Bijus, I'm invincible. And the only one who even has a chance to stand up against and stop me is you, Naruto. So I'm just going to kill you right here so that nobody can interfere. He yelled back with a mad grin. At hearing this, Naruto was shocked. But how couldn't he be? After all, the only person he ever considered a brother wanted to kill him, and all his friends. Sasuke, whispered Naruto. I'm sorry, everyone. He thought sadly. Sasuke, you are right. Right now we are almost equal in strength, and if we went all out I'm sure we would destroy half of Fire Country. And that's why I will end you right here, right now. Naruto yelled out with newfound determination. Oh? And what's the little loser going to do? Sasuke asked with an amused glint in his eyes. This. Naruto screamed and started forming hand seals so fast you could barely even see them blur. Snake Bore Ram, Alda Das Mox Dan Du, clasps hands together. Shiki Fujin Sealing Jutsu, Reaper Death Seal. As Naruto finished, a giant, translucent and gaunt specter suddenly began to manifest itself behind him. Skin purple like poison, with white, shaggy hair from which two red horns were protruding. Draped in a white, large kimono with a tanto in its mouth, it was the incarnation of death, the Shinigami. Are you serious, Naruto? You would sacrifice your own life for those people. Don't you remember how they treated you when we were younger? They beat you, spat on you. They treated you worse than trash, even though you were supposed to be their savior. And yet now you want to sacrifice yourself for them. Sasuke spat, getting ever more desperate by the minute. He knew that if Naruto used this jutsu he wouldn't be able to escape. This fact wouldn't change, even if he were to teleport himself to the other end of the elemental nations or to a different dimension. The Shinigami will get you. After all, nobody can escape death. It doesn't matter, Sasuke. Even if they treated me like trash when I was younger, I've already forgiven them. Now I even have precious friends who treat me as if I were their own family, and I will protect them. He screamed with finality. Shinigami-sama, I offer you a trade. Naruto began speaking to the specter behind him with a calm voice. Speak, human, was the reply of the Shinigami. His voice alone was enough to send shivers down Naruto's spine. I offer you my life. In exchange, seal all the power of Sasuke Uchiha away, so that he may never use it to hurt people ever again. Naruto ended, all the while glaring in Sasuke's direction. Sasuke, on the other hand, became so pale that you could mistake him for Orochimaru. Very well, human, your offering is sufficient. I shall accept your proposal, were the Shinigami's final words before he took the tanto out of his mouth, which revealed a maw too large to be that of a human's, full of sharp, jagged teeth and a long serpentine tongue. He slashed across Naruto's back and stretched his arm through the wound, grabbing his soul and leading it towards Sasuke. Sasuke felt the presence of death approaching and suddenly began screaming. His body was spasming as he tried to resist, but nothing could ever stop the Shinigami. Soon his soul too was ripped out of his body and merged with Naruto's. After the sealing was completed, Naruto fell to his knees, and then to the ground. Huff, huff. Damn you. Huff. Naruto. Sasuke screamed at the top of his lungs before also collapsing to the ground due to the pain he just experienced and having his powers sealed. It's finally over. Naruto whispered to himself. With the last of his strength, he turned his body around to look at the clear, blue sky for one last time. From the corner of his eyes he could see some people rushing over with panicked faces. Faces he knew all too well. "I'm sorry, everyone, but I guess this is the end, for me." These were the last thoughts before he closed his eyes, feeling his consciousness fade. Naruto, age 18, he died as he lived, with a smile on his face, saving the world and the people he loved one last, final time. In the Hall of Judgment. I feel like I just got hit by the jubi," Naruto said with a drowsy voice, lying on the ground and gripping his head. "Welcome, Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto." The booming voices of 3 people sounded out at the same time. They were each sitting on a throne, one to the left of Naruto, one to the right, and the last right in front of him. "Huh? What?" Naruto jumped up with a start. "Who are you? And where am I?" he asked in shock. He didn't know where he was, why he was here, nor who the people in front of him were. The people sitting on the middle and right throne, 2 women, looked quite similar to each other, with the only real differences being their hair and eyes. The woman in the middle had brilliant, silver hair that extended slightly above her waist and golden eyes that spoke of experience and compassion, seemingly shining. If one looked closer though, you could see that her whole body gave off a mild glow, illuminating her surroundings slightly. Her attire was but a pure white robe that covered her whole body, with a slit below her waist, showing off a beautiful set legs. The woman on the right was similar in height, she however seemed to almost be her polar opposite. Her pitch black hair appeared to be sucking in any light that was unfortunate enough to meet IDM. Her eyes were a deep blue, almost like Naruto's, but unlike his they seemed to radiate knowledge. He had never seen these people before except… Wait, isn't that Shinigami-sama? Naruto wondered as he looked at the person on the left throne. "This is the Hall of Judgment, young one. Here, we decide if a soul will go to hell or heaven, but only for special cases such as yourself. We don't have that much free time," answered the person in the middle. "Souls? So that means, yes, child, you assumed right. You died," said the person on the right. "It's too late regretting your choice now, kid. You knew what you'd get yourself into when you asked for my help." The Shinigami spoke to him. "No, it's just, did it work?" Naruto asked, worried about the friends he left behind. "What? Are you doubting me, human?" Shinigami replied, anger apparent in his voice, which alone was seemingly enough to make the whole space around them shriek in agony, as he let too much of his power leak due to his lack of control. "And no, of course not, Shinigami-sama," Naruto replied quickly, as the pressure threatened to crush him. Now, dear brother, we are not here to punish him, but to reward him, isn't that right, Kami?" The person on the right tried to calm Shinigami down. "Yes, brother, Yami is quite right about that. And we don't want mother to get angry, right?" said the person in the middle, Kami apparently. "No." The other 2 replied immediately. "Ha, well, I guess if you put it like that." Shinigami agreed and suppressed his power, allowing Naruto to let out a breath he didn't know he was holding in. "Anyway, seeing how you lived and how you died, mother took pity on you, so she decided to give you a new chance at live in a new world. A world of peace where you won't have to worry about getting killed day after day, living your life however you want," Kami said with a slight smile playing about her lips. "Of course, if you'd like to go to heaven, we won't be stopping you. As we already said, this is to be a reward for you, not punishment." Yami finished. Naruto didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. On the one hand, he wanted to reunite with his family, but on the other, he could have a fresh start in a new, peaceful, and most likely better world. Maybe when he grew older, he would even find someone he could truly fall in love with, start a family of his own. He would watch his children grow up, and then maybe even watch his children's children grow up too. Living every day not only to survive but for his family, and see another day together. After a few minutes of contemplating, he finally decided. "I'd to take up your offer and start anew in this new world, please," he replied with a slight bow and excitement apparent in his voice. The 3 gods chuckled at the sight, noting that this gesture was quite unusual for the young Uzumaki. If you knew him as a kid, you would think it impossible for him to show such courtesy. But it seems even the most unruly children grow up one day. "All right, Naruto, be prepared, for this will most likely hurt. A lot, Shinigami said while getting closer to Naruto and stretching out a gnarled arm. At this, Naruto began to glow, light shining so bright that one wouldn't be able to look at it if you weren't a god. But to Naruto, who was the source of said light, it was a spectacle. A show of light beyond human understanding, as if countless stars had mended together only to erupt in a mix of colors, letting his consciousness feel at peace for what seemed to be the first time in his life. Ahem, afterlife. But then, however, came the pain. Naruto fell to the ground, screaming like his very soul was getting ripped apart. He clutched his chest, clawing at it, trying to make it stop, but in reality being unable to do anything about it. To him, it felt like an eternity, countless eons of unbearable pain with no way of stopping it, even though the whole process took only less than 5 seconds. After this span of time, Naruto vanished, leaving behind only empty space in his place and particles of fading light, which too ceased to exist soon after. Let's hope that Mother was right, Kami said with a sigh and tired smile, before all of the gods vanished themselves, leaving the white space to break down without the support of their power. And with that, Naruto began his second life. In the forest of Alfea, Headmistress Farragonda, principal of Alfea, was taking a walk through the forest in order to get away from all the paperwork she had to do until tomorrow. All of a sudden, she could hear some noises and decided to investigate, worrying about intruders that wanted to sneak into the school. It wouldn't be the first time after all. As she got closer, she could finally make out that the sounds were in fact fire crackling. Hurrying to the source, she could see a clearing, once full of lush green and colorful flowers, now burnt to the ground by black flames so hot that even the ground below the plants was burning. "Oh my!" she exclaimed as she held a hand in front of her mouth. What caused this surprise, however, were neither the black flames nor the fact that the whole forest was going to burn down at this rate. It was the cry of a newborn in the vicinity that caught her attention. She started frantically looking around, finding the object of her search not soon after, surrounded by a large ring of fire. Of course, she knew that if she didn't act soon the baby would get burned by the flames, so she had to be quick. But the quickest solution isn't always the right one. Even though Headmistress Farragonda was not a water fairy, she was still adept at almost every art of magic, so she took the most logical approach: splash it with water until the blaze is extinguished. However, instead of putting out the fire, it had the total opposite effect, making it even stronger than before. In a slight panic, she tried everything she could think of, trying to make the blaze die down by controlling it with fire magic. Didn't work. Cover it with earth? That even counted as fuel instead of extinguishing it. Make a strong gust of air blast through it. Well, she could have guessed that this wouldn't work before. The only thing she could do now would be to seal the fire away, which was honestly not a method she was all too fond of. It would require a lot of power, making her need to rest for days on end and leaving Alfea unprotected to the school of witches and any dark forces that lay dormant, just waiting for a chance to strike. But she had no choice now, it would seem. So with all the power left in her, she sealed away the fire, making a mental note to take it to the archive later and get it analyzed. She'll also need to send a team to search the surroundings for any flames she may have missed or the perpetrator who had caused this whole mess in the first place. But for now, with the fire gone, she could finally run over to the baby, taking it into her hands. Upon closer inspection, she saw it had blonde hair, and when it opened its eyes she could see sky blue eyes, looking at her with childish interest and a giggle. "So, little one, what are you doing out here? Where are your parents?" she asked, but all she got in return was a cute giggle. "Well, I guess I'll just have to take care of you for now," Headmistress Farragonda whispered with a wry smile. It seemed that her life would take a turn for the chaotic from now on. So she turned around, leaving for the school, not noticing the small spot that was untouched by the fire, as if it had been avoiding the place where the baby had lain until now. Prologue end. 6 years later. Kaya, help! What's wrong? Asked a student the other. My hair, they are orange! Screamed the girl. PFF, why yeah, I can see that. How did that happen? Asked the student the girl. I don't know, I just wanted so shower, and then in the next second my hair were orange. We will have to tell Ms. Farragonda about this. It seems that you are not the only one, said the girl while pointing to the room opposite where also a girl with different hair colors is screaming. Ms. Farragonda's office. Ms. Principal, Ms. Principal, the hairs of various students have been changed and nobody knows who it was, said a student that was lucky not to be caught. Yeah, Ms. Principal, and it's not the first time that something like this happened, shouted another student. Sigh, all right girls, I will take care of this problem, said a teared-looking Farragonda. Thank you, Ms. Principal. After everything was sorted out, the students began leaving the room. Farragonda was silent for a few minutes before she looked at the wall right next to her with an angry look. Naruto, don't even think about escaping, stated Farragonda in a calm voice that sent shivers down the back of Naruto. At first nothing happened, but slowly there where Farragonda was staring there began to take something form. And after the whole form was finished, you could see a 6-year-old boy with sky-blue eyes, 6 whisker marks, and a sheepish look on his face while he was scratching the back of his head with his right hand. How many times have I told you to stop pranking people? Most of the students are thinking that there is a ghost and are starting to look for spells that will remove the ghost. Hups, was Naruto's reply. Groan Naruto, be seriously, why are you doing something like this? Asked Farragonda. I am sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear you, asked Farragonda. I said because it's boring when you can go out to play and have to hide from the other students, shouted Naruto. Farragonda was startled a bit. Never had Naruto complained about the living conditions, so she thought that it was alright, but it seems that she was wrong. She gained a soft look on her face. Naruto, look at me, said Farragonda softly. Naruto looked up, trying hard not to cry, but was failing miserably. Naruto, I am sorry, said Farragonda, and went to him and hugged him. Naruto also hugged her as much as he could and cried like there was no tomorrow. After a few minutes, when Naruto stopped crying, only then separated Farragonda with Naruto. She looked at him for another minute before finally speaking. Naruto, my little boy, do you know why nobody is allowed to see you? Asked Farragonda, knowing that Naruto knew. Naruto nodded. So that bad people cannot hurt me. But why should they hurt me? What did I wrong? Asked Naruto, already on the verge of tears. Nothing. You did nothing, but just because you did nothing does not mean they want to hurt you, said Farragonda, already hugging him again. You see, when I was younger I made a lot of enemies, and if they were to know that you are my grandson, then they would go after you in order to hurt me, because if they hurt you they also hurt me, okay? Asked Farragonda, a little unsure what to say. Naruto nodded. You are a good boy now. How does ice cream and pizza sound to you in for dinner, and then we can watch your favorite movie if you would like? Asked she with a smile. Naruto nodded fast enough to make her think that he broke his neck. But you have to behave for the rest of the… Again he nodded as fast as before. After everything was done, Naruto went out through a hidden pathway, leaving the principal alone in her office with Naruto. Stupid girls ranting me out, mumbled Naruto while thinking what should he do. There isn't really anything I can do. No, maybe I should go to the city. But then Granny might get angry again, thought Naruto. Even if he knew better, consider that he was just scolded, but his boringness was greater, so he went to the bus station in order to get to the city. Arriving at the city, Naruto went straight to the park, wanting to see if he could play with some other kids. Naruto arrived there. He saw that many children, and the many that he saw were all younger than him. You all expect one little girl that is probably a year younger than him. Seeing that there wasn't a better person, he went to the little girl that seemed to play alone. Hi, greeted Naruto. The girl seemed startled. Hello. Naruto tried again, waving in front of her face. I am sorry, stuttered the little girl. Haha, you're weird. My name is Naruto, by the way, laughed Naruto. The girl turned red in embarrassment. My name is my name is Stephanie, replied Stephanie. Say, Steph, why do you play alone here? Asked Naruto, curious. At this, Stephanie gained a sad look on her face. Because nobody wants to play, answered Steph with tears starting to form. Don't cry, how about we play together? Asked Naruto, trying to stop the girl in front of him from crying. His grandma taught him to never make a girl sad, because that means that I did something bad and then I have to try to cheer her up as a man's duty or so. Really? Asked Steph, unsure. Yes, how about hide and seek? Suggested Naruto. Okay, replied Steph, happy, before turning around and starting counting. Naruto and Stephanie were playing until they decided to take a break. As they were lying in the grass, they never noticed two mans watching them. Are you sure it's her? Asked the one man the other. 100% blonde hair, amber eyes, and always wearing the newest clothes, and also adding the fucking fact that she is wearing the ring, so yeah, I am sure, replied the other one, angry. Sorry, TCH, When they start playing again you will go after her, I will wait for you in the car," explained the guy. "Okay, great, soon we will be rich, ahaha," laughed the one guy evil. Back to Naruto and Steph. "Are you okay, can we continue?" asked Naruto. Asterisk huff asterisk of asterisk huff asterisk course, replied Steph. "Okay, I am counting," said Naruto while turning around. Stephanie sprinted away and hid behind a tree near a fountain. As she was hiding there she noticed too late the shadow that has formed above her. When she turned around she saw a fat man with a mask over his face and a tape in one hand. Stephanie wasn't dumb, she knew what that man wanted, so she screamed as loud as she could. The man was startled a little bit, but he recovered quickly and taped her mouth so she stopped screaming. Then he picked her up and sprinted away. Naruto, hearing the scream, ran to where the scream came only to see how a man was running away with Stephanie on his shoulders, struggling to get away. Not losing any time he started to chase after them, but it seems he couldn't make it in time as the guy jumped into a black car and it drove away very quickly. "No, no, 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 Stephanie!" shouted Naruto as he fell to his knees. After he finally found his first friend, it was taken from him, so began to cry. He cried harder than he ever did. His heart was hurting. Why? Repeated Naruto over and over. "Because you are weak," he heard a voice speaking. He turned around but found nobody. "Because you are pathetic, just look at you crying here instead of doing something," continued the voice. Naruto was now confused and slightly scared. The other one wouldn't even think about crying, and sitting there he would run after them, search them no matter how long it may take, not stopping for sleeping or eating. What do you mean? "And who are you?" asked Naruto. "But at the same time, you are not him. At least not anymore." "What are you talking? Who am I not anymore?" "Fine, I will help you unlock it, even if you are not ready for it. Pray to the God that sent you here that you will survive this. But if you have his luck, then I am sure you will. Now let's start." At first, nothing happened, so Naruto thought that he was imaging things already, but then suddenly there was a strike of pain that went through his whole body. And then a pulse of magic came out of his body. Every living being felt the pulse. Naruto's appearance was changing. His sunny golden hair became pitch black, his sky blue eyes became crimson red, and when he looked behind him he saw two fairy-like wings that were black with an outlining red. What happened? "These are fairy wings, how come I have them?" "Grandma said only females can become fairies, and the last time I checked I was male," thought Naruto. "It has finished with it, you should be able to find that girl, Naruto. Hey, how do you know my name? When the time is right you and I will meet again, and when that happens I will fight alongside you once again, but till then become the man you once were." "Hey, what do you mean?" "Hey, where are you?" shouted Naruto. But this time the voice was gone. Naruto was exhausted, tired and scared, but still he couldn't give up. The voice was right, and now that he was a fairy he will be able to find her. And suddenly Naruto took F into the air. Screamed Naruto for a second before realizing what is actually happening. After a few minutes of finding out how to fly, Naruto searched the entire city, but it was like finding a needle in a pile of leaves. But there was this pull that guided him to the outskirt of the city. There he found the black car in front of a rundown house. Feeling that this was the place, Naruto descended down, while not landing so gracefully on his face. Standing up, Naruto went to one of the windows and saw her. In the middle of the room. She was lying there tied up. Just as he wanted to enter the house, he heard the man talking. Were the noises that Stephanie was making. "Leo, get that tape from her mouth, it seems like she has something to say to us," laughed the one guy. "Okie, rip. Auk. You big idiot, that hurt." "Oh, I am so not sorry," said Leo. "Ha ha ha," laughed both men. "What do you want?" asked Steph. "Isn't it obvious, Stephanie, or should I call you Princess Stella from Solaria?" said the other man. Stella glared at them, while Naruto, who was overhearing them, was shocked. "Steph is a princess, and her real name is Stella," whispered Naruto. "No, it doesn't matter, even if she was the queen herself, she is still my friend." With the newfound determination, Naruto took off to the air and flew through the window. All three persons were shocked to see someone here, so shocked that the two men didn't react at all for a few minutes. Just as Naruto was finished untying Stella, came they out of their shock and surrounded them. "Who are you?" asked Leo, the question that was going through everyone's mind. "No one really important," said Naruto as he was looking for an exit. Maybe he should have planned it. But hey, who cares? Both men, thinking that he was mocking them, charged at him. Luckily for Naruto, And unluckily for them, the moment Naruto touched the wall behind him, a hole was made. Seeing this, Naruto once again took off while carrying Stella in his arms, never noticing the black flames that were surrounding the hole. Thank you," began Stella, not really knowing what to say. "No problem, Steph, what are friends for, or should I call you Stella now?" said Naruto. Stella stiffed. There was only one person that called her Steph. "And Naruto?" asked Stella, not really if it really was him. Naruto just smiled at her. "Hi, princess," replied Naruto with a smile. "Don't please Dante do this to me," begged Stella. "Huh? What do you mean?" asked Naruto, confused. "Please Dante, call me princess, just call me Stella. I am sick of it. Because of that I don't have any friends, that's why I don't like to tell people that I am a princess," said Stella, with tears already starting to form, thinking that her first friend will stop being her friend. Naruto flicked her forehead. What was that for?" asked Stella, a little angry. "For being stupid. Did you really think that I would stop being your friend just because you are some princess?" asked Naruto, offended. Stella looked down. Look, Stella. I will always be your friend no matter what, and that's a promise." Really?" asked Stella, unsure. "Yep," replied Naruto while grinning like an idiot. "Yip pie," shouted Stella while hugging Naruto. "Oh, do you want us to crash down?" shouted Naruto, trying to keep his balance. But it seems that Stella was ignoring him. "Now that I think about it, I am actually jealous," said Naruto. Do you know how many pizzas and ice cream you can eat when you are a princess? Man, just thinking about it makes me hungry," replied Naruto. Stella looked at him with shocked eyes before she started to laugh. "Aha! You are weird, you know that," said Stella. You are the weird one," said Naruto back. After they finally reached the park, Naruto let go of her. "You know, if you want I can bring pizza and ice cream with me," said Stella. "Really?" "Yeah, you are the best," shouted Naruto. "Then till next time, Naruto." "Oh, and thank you for saving me," said Stella softly. "No problem, until next time." And so they went their separated ways, never knowing that a long time will be gone before they see each other again. As Naruto was flying home, he noticed that his eye was blurring and that he was feeling weaker and weaker every second. And as he landed on the balcony of his and his grandmother's home, he saw her staring at him with calculating eyes. "Hey Grandma, sorry that I am late," said Naruto with a weak grin before he passed out. Farragonda catched him, and as she was holding him, she was able to see how the pitch black hair turned back to their sunny blonde ones, and she was sure that his eyes have changed back from blood red to sky blue. Also, the wings faded into the darkness. "You are full of surprises, huh, Naruto?" whispered Farragonda before she took him into their home in order to look after him. "Headmistress," shouted Griselda. "Yes, Griselda?" asked Farragonda. "I just wanted to inform you that the new students are arriving today afternoon," said Griselda. "Thank you. Is there anything else?" asked Farragonda. "Yes, there is. It seems that the labor will not be finished until next month, and also it seems that Princess Stella is coming this year again. Are you sure we should let her attend? I mean, it's thanks to her that the labor exploded and now unusable," said Griselda. I understand, even if the curriculum falls behind a bit, I am sure that we will manage. And the topic with Princess Stella. I think that everyone deserves a second chance. Don't you think so, Griselda? asked the headmistress with a gentle voice. Yes, I understand, said Griselda with a defeated tone. Great, now if you will excuse me, I still have paperwork to do, said Farragonda with a light glare at the paper. Of course, I will see you then at the ceremony. And with that, Griselda went out of the office. Farragonda leaned back in the chair and let out a long breath. That sure was close, said a voice right next to the doors. Farragonda smiled and looked to the right of the door. Naruto, what did I say about lying? Scolded Farragonda, her only grandchild. Ah, sorry, laughed Naruto sheepishly. I am sure you have sensed her the moment she went upstairs, said Farragonda with a smirk. You got me. But you know what? Asked Farragonda. What is it, Granny? Asked Naruto. I know you so long, and yet I can't figure out why are you protecting this girl. Don't tell me you have fallen in love with her, joked Farragonda. Who? Stella? Nah, I am not in love with her, but... began Naruto. But what? Asked Farragonda. Naruto looked at her with a fond smile. I can really explain. I just have this feeling that I have to protect no matter what, said Naruto looking at his closed fist. Fine, but Naruto, you have to be careful, you know when... began Faraganda but was interrupted by Naruto. I know. If anybody knows what I am, then my life would change forever. Yes, you being the first and only one of your kind, I am sure that many countries would go to war because of you. I know, after all, I am the first male fairy in the history of fairies," said Naruto. For a moment there was a silence before it was again broken by Faraganda. "And how is your training going, Naruto?" asked his grandmother. "No, so good. Most of the basic spells like transforming or barriers are going well, but if you ask me about my powers, it's horrible. I can even control it properly, and that's when I am not in my fairy form, and if I am in my fairy form my powers go out of control and burn anything down in a radius of 10 meters. Sighed Naruto while explaining. "I see. I am sure you will be alright. Everybody has to start from zero. It's just that you take a little longer," said Faraganda. "PFF longer. Try 5 years," countered Naruto. "I am sure," began Faraganda but was interrupted again. "Save it, Grandma? We both know what kind of power I possess," shouted Naruto. "Naruto," said Faraganda softly before she stood up and went to him. Naruto prepared himself for a slap, but it never came instant. He felt the warmth. The warmth when somebody is hugging you. "Naruto, my little boy," began Faraganda. "I am not little," whispered Naruto. His grandmother giggled a little at that. "Naruto, look into my eyes. Naruto, do you remember what I said that night when you have awoken your powers?" asked Faraganda. Naruto nodded. Flashback. Faraganda's POV. I was waiting for Naruto to return. It was getting late and I began to worry, but just as I was to go and find him, I sensed someone on my balcony. Going out, I saw a sight that I never believed to ever see. It was a fairy. Normally nothing strange, after all this was a school for you fairies, but this one wasn't female. It was a male. A male fairy. Would somebody tell her that they saw one, she would worry about their sanity, but now she might be the one going insane? But there was something else. The power that was radiating from the fairy was massive but also dark and taunted. As I was studying the fairy, I heard him talk. "Sorry, Grandma, for being late," said the mysterious fairy. "Grandma?" "Naruto." As I realized who this person was, he was already falling, so I quickly took hold of him. "You are full of surprises, huh, Naruto?" With that, I took him to his room. After a few minutes, I could hear how he was waking up. "Ugh, what hit me?" asked Naruto. "It seems that you have awakened." "Huh? Grandma, I know the feeling. When you transform for the first time into your fairy form, it's draining." "Fairy form? Oh, you're right. But how is this possible? I thought only females could be fairies, but I also am one, so how?" "I do not know, Naruto, but I am sure we can find something out." "You know what's wrong, done to you?" asked Naruto with narrowed eyes. "Huh, what do you? Don't play dumb, I know you, and also I know when you are hiding something. I can really hide anything from you, huh?" "Nope," grinned Naruto. "You are half right. I have a theory, but it's not something you might like." "I don't care." "Very well, how much do you know about the creation of our universe?" "Just that some dragon created it with his fire." "Okay, that dragon is also called the Great Dragon, and he was the one that gave life, but what did I tell you about balance? Where good is also bad or something." Chuckling you are right, but what is the opposite of given? Taking. But what has this to do with me being a fairy? Patient Naruto. Hust, like I said, if the Great Dragon created the universe, wouldn't there be an opposite? "You mean a dragon that should destroy the universe?" asked Naruto. I nodded. "Or generally destroying." "I think that you have the power of the second dragon, Naruto. It would explain why you, a male, can be a fairy, because your power is not coming like all fairies' power from the Great Dragon, but from the secondary dragon. You are our counterpart, Naruto, but that would mean I am a bad person because I have this cursed power." "I am cursed to destroy, I am cursed," ranted Naruto. "No, you are not, Naruto. Remember this, power is either good or bad, it depends on who uses this power, and I know that you are a good person, so never ever think of yourself as cursed." "Okay," Naruto just nodded. I smiled at him. "Now how does pizza and ice cream sound?" Naruto just grinned. End of POV. Flashback end. Naruto smiled at his grandmother and hugged her back. "Yes, I do," replied Naruto. "Great, now off you go, I have to do paperwork," shushed him Faraganda. "Okay, bye, Grandma," shouted Naruto as he went to his room. Walking through the corridors, he decided to take a walk through the woods. As he was walking through the woods, he caught something in the corner of his eyes. "Stella, but what is she doing here?" thought Naruto as he decided to follow her. Coming to a clearing, he saw her taking out her ring and transforming it into a staff with a circle on top of it with a moon and sun flames around it. He also saw her transform into her fairy form before she cast a spell and vanished. Luckily for Naruto, he was able to hear it. Earth had never been there before, whispered Naruto to no one. Naruto decided to follow Stella, used a trace spell and then a transport magic in order to send him to where Stella was. Arriving on Earth, the first thing he noticed was that he was in some kind of a park. Out of habit, Naruto used an invisible spell to hide. As he cast the spell, he noticed how his powers were calmer, and he felt he had more control over them. Making a mental note, he made his way to where he sensed Stella. When he arrived, he could already go rampage. There he saw Stella laying on the ground, probably wounded, surrounded by ghouls and an orc. Just as he wanted to jump in and save her, he heard somebody. "Stop it!" shouted an orange-haired girl, and everybody halted. They looked at the person who arrived. It was a girl around 16 years old, and had orange hair. She was also pretty. No, she was beautiful, whispered Naruto. But shocked his remembering that she wouldn't be beautiful anymore if she didn't get away. As he was to resume his action before the girl arrived, he was yet again surprised when the girl cast a barrier, and by the look of it a strong one. She herself was apparently surprised by what she did. But Stella was the first one to get out of her shock before she used her magic and beat up the ghouls, but somehow the orc got away. After the whole ordeal, Stella passed out. "Probably used too much magic," whispered Naruto to himself. He also saw how the other girl took her and brought her to her home. Naruto wanted to jump down and see if she was alright, but remembered what his grandma said. "Never reveal yourself unless it is necessary." With that in mind, he created a pitch-black mask from his dark flames, put it on, and went after the mysterious girl and Stella. Line break. Arriving at the house of the girl, he saw how the girl tried to explain what happened but failed. Going in, he hid himself in the shadows of the house and observed. He saw how Stella woke up. He saw how the girl, who he found out was named Bloom, tried to explain how Stella was able to use magic. Her parents, not believing her, tried to call the police but were stopped when Stella turned the phone into a carrot. After the display, they both began to accept the fact that Stella was a fairy. Stella then explained how Bloom was also a fairy, and after a few minutes of explaining, both girls went upstairs and Naruto followed them. But this is where he made a mistake. Upon entering the room, a binding barrier formed around him, forcing him to his knees. "So I was wondering who was following me. It turns out it's the famous Shadow of Althea," said Stella with a sweet smile. "Shadow of Althea?" asked Bloom. "Yeah, he is the left hand of the headmistress. Every time when a job is too dangerous for the students, he takes them. He also keeps everyone in line. He is very famous, but the thing is nobody knows who he is and what he looks like. That's why he's called the Shadow of Althea. You don't see him, but you know that he is there watching you. He is like our personal police," explained Stella. Bloom stared at him with awe. If what Stella said was true, then he is a big player in the other world. "You know, we could be the first people to know how he looks like. I bet he is really ugly. That's why he is hiding his face," laughed Stella. Naruto gained a twitch mark but said nothing. Just as Stella wanted to remove the mask, they heard a scream. "MOM!" shouted Bloom and run downstairs. Stella sighed and went after her, leaving Naruto still bounded. "She could at least unbound me," thought Naruto, who let his magic pulse and watched how the barrier shattered. "Now that this is taken care of, I should probably see how they are doing," said Naruto, still a little bit annoyed. As he went downstairs, he saw how Stella was fighting against the orc from before and a troll. And it seems that Stella was losing the battle. He also heard sounds from outside but decided to help Stella first. So he jumped at the down from the stairs and delivered a roundhouse kick to the troll and sent him through the window. Then he went straight to the orc with a powerful punch and sent him through the wall. As he was standing there, he turned his head behind to see Stella looking at him with awe. No matter what she may think of him, even she has to admit that he looks badass right now. The moment was destroyed, however, when they heard another scream. Both sprinted outside, only see Bloom failingly trying to fight the troll. "Aren't you going to help her?" asked Stella. Naruto sprang into action without wasting a second more. It seems that the troll hasn't sensed him, or wasn't he able to react, because in a few seconds the troll was on the ground unconscious. And just like before, but this time it was Bloom who looked at him with awe. Naruto stretched out his hand without saying anything. Bloom hastily took his hand and with a pull, she was again on her feet. Naruto then turned around and handed her a letter. Stella took it and read it. Don't be late for the ceremony. P.S. Bring Bloom with you and say that she entered the school with my approval. Stella's eyes widened themselves and she looked up. He was gone. Man, just when I had the chance to see his face they had to appear. Speaking of, where is the orc? Asked Stella. Somewhere others. Canute, where is the ring? Asked one of the three mysterious persons. I had him, but then somebody came and took us all out, explained the orc. Who could that be? Asked another one. I don't know, the fairy I was after called him the Shadow of Althea, said Canute. The Shadow? What the hell was he doing there? Exclaimed the last person. I don't know, answered Canute. Oh, we were so close, and then this had to happen. Back with Stella and Bloom. As the girls were talking, a portal suddenly formed and out came 5 people wearing some sort of uniform. Who are you? Asked Bloom. This, my friend, are the specialists, explained Stella. The what? The specialists. We are from the Red Fountain School and are trained in fighting monsters, explained the guy with shoulder-length hair charmingly. Hi, I am Brandon, introduced Brandon himself. I am Timmy, said a person with brown hair and glasses. What's up? My name is Sky. Bloom then looked at the last member. TCH Riven. Don't mind him, he is always so, explained Brandon. So we heard that some monster were here, began Sky. You mean the one behind you? Asked Stella with a smirk. She knew that these guys prided themselves on such things. Sky looked behind him only to see a tied-up troll. Yep, Stella was a little disappointed that they didn't show that they were bested, even if it was someone else who took out the troll. Come on guys, let us take him back, said Brandon. And with that, they took the troll and vanished into the portal again. I hope they make him pay, said Stella with a look that scared Bloom a little bit. Why did he do something to you? Asked Bloom. Yeah, because of him I was unable to see the face of the shadow, shouted Stella. Bloom just laughed awkwardly. Stella pouted and crossed her arms. She looked like a child that didn't get his sweets. Up in the tree sat Naruto, who was listening and watching what they were doing. He snickered when he saw Stella pouting. You still have a lot to learn and a lot to see before you can pull a stunt on me. My precious little sister, whispered Naruto. Naruto, where have been? Asked Faragonda. You know, places to see, places to go, but anyway, have the new students arrived? Asked Naruto excitedly. Ever since he met this girl Bloom, he couldn't get her out of her mind, not only because he found her attractive but because of the power that she possesses. He didn't know what kind of power it was, but one thing he knew for sure, that it was powerful. As we are speaking, answered Faragonda while pointing towards the window. Naruto went to the window and looked down, where he could see a lot of new faces and more are arriving every second. But he still couldn't find Stella or Bloom. Looking for someone? Asked his grandmother with an amused smile. And no! Shouted Naruto, who had forgotten that she was still there. Faragonda giggled. Just as Faragonda wanted to tease him further, he caught glimpse of the 2 persons he was searching. Sorry grandma, see you later. And with that, Naruto vanished into nothingness. It was like he was never there. Naruto, now on the school's rooftop, looked how Stella was trying to convince that Bloom can enter this school, but seeing that Griselda was being stubborn, he decided to help them. So he activated his powers, changing his appearance, and he created his mask from his black flames. I tell you, he said that Bloom is allowed to go to this school on his approval. Please, Princess Stella's shadow has never left Althea. If he did, I would have known, and so since he didn't, there is no way that he was able to do this, said Griselda with finality. Is there a problem? Asked suddenly a person right next to Stella. All 3 freaked out for a second before calming down. Don't he ever do that again? Shouted Stella while pointing at him. While Naruto was calm on the outside, he was laughing his ass off on the inside. Is there a problem? Asked Shadow/Naruto again. Yes, there is, Shadow. Miss Stella is trying to convince me that you allowed this girl to enter Althea as a student, said Griselda while pointing at Bloom. That is true, said Shadow. See, I told you. Wait for what? Asked Griselda. But when? Asked the vice principal. It doesn't matter when, said Shadow with an icy voice. All right, then you are allowed to enter, said Griselda to Bloom. Thank you, said Bloom to Shadow, but he wasn't there anymore. Wow, he is good, continued Bloom. I know, and that's why we will unmask him, declared Stella while pointing towards the sun. Okay, said Bloom, unsure. With that, both of them went towards their room. Arriving there, they were able to see that they were now roommates. "And this is my room," said Stella while showing Bloom her room. "Wow, you have your own room, how cool is that?" exclaimed Bloom. "Yup, being a princess and all has its perks," explained Stella with a million-watt smile. Too bright, thought Bloom. "Now how about have a look at your room?" asked Stella. "Sure." The first thing that Bloom did when she entered her room was to step on a plant. "I am sorry, I was just unpacking things," apologized the girl. "My name is Flora and your roommate, let us get along," introduced Flora herself. "I am Bloom and this is Stella, nice to meet you," said Bloom while also introducing Stella. "You know, if we are all introducing ourselves, we should probably do it also. Hi, my name is Tekna. My name is Musa, and if you want to rock the floor, I am your girl." "Hi Tekna, Musa, my name is Bloom, and like I said before, this is Stella." "Yeah, I know about you, weren't you the girl that caused the explosion in the potion labor?" asked Tekna. "HMPF, small details," said Stella, clearly still embarrassed. The others just laughed, when suddenly Bloom's stomach became known. "Haha, it seems someone is hungry," said Musa. Bloom blushed at that. "How about we go to the city and eat there something?" suggested Stella. "How about pizza?" asked Bloom. "Pizza? What pizza?" asked Tekna. "You know," began Bloom explaining. Arriving at the city, the girls went to a restaurant and ordered their pizzas. After eating them, Bloom tried to phone her mother but saw that she had no signal. "What are you doing?" asked Flora. "I am trying to call my mom but I have no signal," answered Bloom, still trying to find one. "Give that to me when it has something to do with Technic, I am your girl," said Tekna while looking at the phone. "Where did you get this ancient thing?" asked Tekna suddenly. "Hey, it's the newest phone on the market," shouted Bloom. "Yeah, on Earth maybe," whispered Stella. Bloom then realized that she wasn't on Earth anymore and that Tekna is probably right. "Right now your best shot would be a telephone booth," said Tekna while handing the phone back. Bloom nodded at this and went to find a telephone booth. After finding one, she called home, telling her parents that she was okay and Alfea is a wonderful place and that she already made some friends. Of course, her parents were happy to hear that. As Bloom continued talking, she saw someone. It was the orc that attacked her parents. Saying quickly goodbye, she ran after the orc into a hallway. There she was able to see 3 girls and the orc talking. Listening closely, Bloom was able to overhear that they were after Stella's ring. Just as she was going to get away from here, she was suddenly attacked from behind. Looking up, she was able to see one of the girls from before. Not believing her eyes, she looked back to the group where she saw the same girl, but she slowly vanished. "Look at what we have here," said the girl with white hair. "Get away, I am a fairy," shouted Bloom while making a magical attack. But it seems that the magic was not strong enough because it didn't even reach its target. "How you call that magic? I will show you what magic is," shouted Icy before she made a blizzard, freezing Bloom to ice. "HMPF, puny little fairy, you are no match for us witches," said Stormy. Icy prepared another spell in order to finish Bloom off, but right before the spell could hit her, a light ball deflected the attack. Because of that, there was a smoke screen. After it went away, it revealed the other girls. "Sorry to crash the party, but could we get our friend back?" asked Stella with a smile. "TCH, more fairies," said Darcy. "Fine with me, the more the better," said Stormy. "Let us show these puny fairies who's stronger is," finished Icy before preparing another attack. "Girls, it seems we have to get serious here," said Musa. "Magic wings," shouted Stella. And with that, all girls expect Bloom transformed into their fairy form. "Ice spears," shouted Icy. "Get behind me," shouted Tekna. "Technical shield." "Grr these damn fairies," shouted Stormy. "Lighting road," cast Stormy. This time Tekna's shield wasn't able to stop this attack and the girls threw back. "I will finish this," stated Icy before she once again activated her spell, Blizzard, but before she could freeze them, Stella activated her ring that transformed into a scepter. "Ring of Solaria," shouted Stella, and then in a flash of light they were gone. "TCH, they got away," cursed Icy. "Say, wasn't this the ring that we were after?" asked Darcy. Icy and Stormy looked at her with wide eyes before screaming to the heavens. "With the girls. For that we're close," sighed Flora. "Hee hee," laughed Stella. "Come on, let us get Bloom out of this ice prison. I am sure here Beauty will suffer if we don't get her out," said Stella seriously. The others just sweat dropped at that. "That's what you are worried about," were the thoughts of the other 3 girls. After half an hour of Stella constantly using her magic to melt the ice, Bloom was finally free. The girls got her to take a shower and changed her clothes before giving her a warm cup of milk chocolate with marshmallows. "Sue, how did you get into this situation?" asked Musa. "Well, when I was talking to my mum, I saw the orc," began Bloom. "The orc?" asked Tekna. "Ah, yes, you wouldn't know, but Bloom comes from Earth, and when either we were attacked by some orc," explained Stella. The girls were now suppressed. They all thought that they were no fairies anymore on Earth. "Anyway, after I saw him, I decided to follow him, and arriving there, I saw these 3 girls with him. I was able to overhear that they were after your ring, Stella," explained Stella. "My ring?" asked Stella. "Yes, but before I could get back, I was suddenly attacked, and the rest you know," finished Bloom with her explanation. After a moment of silence, Bloom asked a question that has been bugging her. "Who are they?" "They are the Tricks," answered Stella. "Tricks? Is this some kind of club?" asked Bloom, confused. "Haha, no, they are witches who go to the Cloud Tower, one of the 3 schools here in Magix," explained Stella. "But that's not everything. Apparently, they are direct descendants of the 3 ancestral witches," said Stella. "The what?" shouted Tekna. "Shhhhh, keep quiet, it's just a rumor." "Shush, Stella. But let us forget about them. How about we talk how good we work together?" said Stella. "Yes, I do have to admit that our teamwork was great," agreed Tekna. Right? So I was thinking, how about we make a club let's say the Stella and the Fairies, or Stella the Beauty. No, how about?" ranted Stella. "I think Bloom should decide," interrupted Musa. "I also agree," said Flora. "I do not see a problem," agreed Tekna. "Fine, were Stella's words. How about Winx Club?" asked Bloom. The girls looked at each other before nodding. "Winx Club," shouted Stella. The others just laughed. The next morning there was the begin of the new school year, and the first subject that they had was transformation. Wizkaz the teacher explained how it was done, and showed them a few examples. After that, he told his students to pick up their mirror and to change their hair colors. Everyone was able to pull it off except Bloom. She tried no matter what, but her hair color wouldn't change. Wizkaz, seeing the disappointed look on Bloom's face, went up to her and encouraged her. "Don't give up, Bloom, this is just your first day. I am sure you will learn it," said Wizkaz. Bloom just smiled at him. After the lesson has ended, Bloom and her friends went to the canteen. Finding themselves a place to sit, they began to eat and talk. After 15 minutes, Miss Farragoda stood up and went to the front. "My dear students, like every year, we in the Red Fountain School held a ball. Today in the evening is this ball. Because of that, every for today is omitted," announced Farragonda. "Oh man, what should I do? I have nothing to wear for tonight," exclaimed Stella. "I am sure we will find something for you," said Bloom. After that they went to their room. Arriving there, everyone went through their things in order to get dressed for a ball. After an hour, Bloom suddenly realized something. "Girls, do you think they will let me go in there like this?" asked Bloom, already knowing the answer. "No problem, I am sure we will find you something," said Stella. The girls rushed out of the school in order to catch the bus. Arriving at the city, the girls searched for 2 hours but found nothing. After these 2 hours, the other girls had to go because they themselves had to change. Saying their goodbyes and wishing her good luck, Bloom continued alone the search, with Naruto. Not only were the girls preparing for the ball, but so was Naruto. He put on a black suit with a white shirt and a dark purple tie, completing it with a pair of black shoes and a silver watch on his left wrist. Of course, he had to wear his mask when he was in public. Checking that everything was in order, Naruto created his mask and changed his hair to black. After a short walk, he entered the ballroom and went straight to where the headmistress was sitting. On his way to her, Naruto was able to overhear somethings like, "Who is this?" 2. "OMG, he is so hot." There were even a few like, "Tonight I will unmask him." What Naruto didn't know was that whoever is able to unmask him will be the unofficial school president. As Naruto arrived and sat down, he began to talk with Farragonda. "Grandma, why do I have to be here?" whispered Naruto. "Well, since someone couldn't keep his existence a secret, I had to say that you work here at the school," countered Farragonda while drinking her tea. Naruto hung his head low. It was basically his fault, but what can he do when it's super boring? After that, he talked with the other staff members. The conversation came to a halt when a group of fairies entered the ballroom. They were all beautiful, but Naruto only looked at one. "You look beautiful, little sister," thought Naruto, a little sad that he couldn't say it to her face. But he soon noticed that someone was missing. It was Bloom. But decided that she was just only late. He continued his conversation with Whizgaz while also keeping an eye on his sister, who was getting a little too familiar for his taste with a student of the Red Fountain. The ball was a huge success, everyone was having fun, but Bloom was still missing, so Naruto decided to look for her, but just as he stood up the doors opened and Bloom came and thought she looked worried. He saw how she went to her friends and talked fast with that worried expression, and he also saw how the faces of her friends turned from smiling to surprised and then to anger. Now knowing that something was not all right, he masked his presence and went to them. Arriving there, he was able to overhear them talking about how the tricks are here at school and how they want to ruin the party. He also heard their plan and had to admit that it was a good plan but not the best. So he followed them, seeing how they executed their parts, but something then went wrong. Bloom was attacked. And this time no one was around to help her. Well, expect for him, but something was telling him not to interfere, and so he did. He watched how she fought against them even without a fairy form. But the tricks slowly overpowered her. But when everything seemed to take a turn for the worse, did it happen. Bloom transformed for the first time. When she transformed, Naruto was able to sense it. Such power! "It's similar to mine yet different," whispered Naruto. Naruto now found Bloom a lot more interesting. But it seems that even in her fairy form that she was outmatched. Naruto didn't fault her. She just got her fairy form and the tricks have a lot more experience, so it was clear who would win. But Naruto was careless, he didn't sense the arrival of the Winx. So when Icy fired her ice spears at Bloom, no one could have expected that Stella pushes Bloom away and take the hit. For Naruto, it was like everything went to slow motion. He could see how the spears were piercing her skin. He could see how her blood was running out of her wounds. He could hear her friends screaming. He could see the agony on her face. His little sister was dying in front of him just because he was not able to react. "Because of him she is dying, Stella," shouted Naruto. "No, it's because of them," whispered a voice. "Ha! It's them who hurt her in the first place. Why, you are right, so let us pay them back, show them your true powers, show them that no one messes with you, family," roared the voice. Naruto's mask slowly faded away, but his hair was overshadowing his face. And then, just like he was possessed, Naruto whispered a word, "Enchantix," and with that everything went to hell. First, there was a magical pulse that went through all dimension. Then a tornado of black flames came into existence. Right. No, everyone was outside. "Oh Naruto, what have you done?" whispered Faragonda, and then in the next second, a figure came out of this flames. His hair was black like the void, his eyes crimson like the blood that is running through one's body. His black/red wings, who were massive, gave him a demonic look. He was wearing black boots with black baggy jeans and a sleeveless hoodie. There also was a sword strapped to his waist. "How it seems like the stress was too great," whispered the voice. "Who are you?" asked Icy. "Who I am is not important." Everyone was surprised by the demonic voice. "That's not Naruto," thought Faragonda. "But what is important is that you have hurt someone that he considers precious," explained. "Tch, you are just a fairy," exclaimed Icy. "I think it's time to show the world that we are back, huh, partner?" And then suddenly there was a huge pressure. The first years fell to the ground, the others were starting to sweat. The tricks slowly descended to the ground, their powers slowly leaving them. What is going on?" screamed Darcy. "You dared to come and hurt someone who he considers precious. Trust me when I say that you won to come unharmed home." With these final words he unleashed the sword. And when he did that, the pressure tenfold itself. He swung his swords and a wave of black flames mixed with red energy came down onto the tricks. When the wave hit them, they screamed louder than they have ever done. It was a horrible sight. The tricks were burning alive. Icy tried to cast her magic, but the moment she did, the flames became even stronger. With a hand wave from Naruto, the flames ceased to exist. All that was left were the tricks, who looked like they were in hell. And I want to describe how they look, because then it would be an M rating, but you can imagine how they look now. "I reverse your powers. Every time you three would cast a spell, it will be reversed and attack you. Every time you cast a curse, it will be you who will be cursed. Be grateful that I didn't take away your powers. Now be gone before I end your life." With that, Naruto put his sword back and the pressure lifted itself. Naruto then descended to the ground to where Stella was lying. He is that you, Naruto?" asked Stella weakly. Yes and no, this is Naruto's body, but I am not Naruto. I see. But still it is nice to see him once again, even though it will be my last time cough said Stella weakly before she coughed blood. You are dying. Thanks for the obvious, said Stella sarcastically. He want to be happy. This time Stella didn't say anything, but tears slowly began to form themselves around her eyes. This will be the last time I helped, said the voice before he bit his fingers strong enough to draw blood, before sticking it into Stella's mouth. Out of reflex, Stella drank the blood that was infused with the red energy. It will hurt like a bitch, but you will live, and that's what matters, said the voice before he passed out. Stella was confused, but in the next second she screamed like there was no tomorrow. Her wounds slowly but forcefully closed, her skin turned from pale to the bronze-like skin. And after what seemed an eternity, the pain vanished, leaving an unconscious Stella back. For a few minutes nothing was said and done, but then Miss Farragonda went up to them and said loud enough so that everyone could hear it. The party is over, please return to your rooms, shouted Farragonda, who was looking at the now back-transformed Naruto. What a night, whispered Farragonda while looking at the moon and wondering what the future has in store for young Naruto. What hit me? Asked Naruto as he slowly stood up. Why the hell am I in a sewer? Shouted Naruto. Naruto ran through millions of thoughts, thinking how he got here, when he suddenly felt something. It felt dark and evil, but somehow it also felt familiar, seeing as there is no other option than going to the source of power. After what felt like an hour of walking, Naruto finally found the source. It was behind a door. Slowly opening the door, he was hit with the power, but this time tenfold. But strangely, he wasn't affected. No, to him it was like someone hugged him. He felt safe, he felt at ease. I am sure many people would call me crazy, thought Naruto. Finally opening the door, Naruto stood in a room that was big enough to put in a castle. Going further into the room, he looked around. Unlike the hallway, the room seemed brighter and so depressing. Coming to a halt, Naruto looked in front of him. He didn't know why, but he had the feeling that he should wait here. He wasn't disappointed. An eye, with crimson pupils and silted iris. It was bigger than him. Suddenly the eye went up. It went higher and higher when it stopped a few meters under the ceiling. Then he could see a snout, then a head, and finally, the whole body came into the light. It was a fox with 9 tails. So you have finally come to visit me, said the creature. He was in shock. He couldn't even form a simple sentence. What, how? Began Naruto. The creature just rolled its eyes. Who the hell are you? Shouted Naruto. The creature blinked once, then twice, then it laughed. Ahaha. Why are you laughing, you big furball? Shouted Naruto. The creature stopped laughing and looked at Naruto with a smile. It's been a long time since someone called me that, said the creature and chuckled. Naruto blinked and looked at his eyes. In the beginning, he didn't notice it, but now that he looked a bit closer, he could see sadness and happiness in his eyes. He could also see other emotion, but it was the one that caught his attention. Relief. Why would it be relieved? And for who I am? I used to be called Kyuubi no Yuko, said the Kyuubi. Used? Asked Naruto. A long time ago I used to be filled with hate and everything negative. People feared me just when they heard my name. I hated humans with a passion back then. And now, there are still a few humans that I despise, but I changed, and funny thing is, it was thanks to a human that I changed. How come? Asked Naruto. At the beginning, I hated him probably as much as I hated my nemesis. Because of him, my freedom was taken. But he proved not only me but also my siblings wrong, that there are humans that are still good at heart. So at his final battle we helped him, and after the battle, he gave us what we all wanted. Our freedom. Then why are you here? Simple, I didn't want to leave someone I call brother. Suddenly Naruto got a bad feeling. Say Kyuubi, where are we right now? In your mind? And with that everything went black. The next thing he saw when he woke up again was a white ceiling. He blinked a few times in order to get used to the light. When his eyes finally got used, he looked around and noticed that he was in the nursery. He heard how a door opened, so he looked to his left only to see his grandmother. Hey grandma, said Naruto weakly. Hearing the voice of her grandson, she quickly went to his side. Naruto, how are you? Asked a worried Farragonda. Like I was hit by lightning and then ran over by a train, said Naruto as he tried to sit up. So what happened? Asked Naruto. What is the last thing you remember, Naruto? asked a worried Farragonda. I think it was. Stella, shouted Naruto. Calm down, Naruto. Stella is alright. Really, where is she? Asked Naruto, trying to calm down. In her room, resting, something you also should do, said his grandmother. I see, thank God that she is alright, whispered Naruto. Naruto, Farragonda suddenly said in a serious tone. Naruto flinched. He knew what she is going to say. You were exposed, stated the headmistress of Althea. I know, and I am sorry, apologized Naruto. Farragonda looked at him for a few minutes, and then she sighed. But I guess it went well in the end, said Farragonda as she stood up and went to the door. Just as she was to go outside, she stopped at the door before looking once more at Naruto with a fond smile. By the way, congratulations on your Enchantix powers. Naruto's eyes widened themselves as he looked at the place where his grandmother was before he started to grin like an idiot. With the Winx. Can you believe it, a male fairy? Said Tecna. I know I wouldn't believe it myself if I didn't see it with my own eyes, and not only that, said Flora. Guys, is it really that hard to believe that there is a male fairy? Asked Bloom. Of course you don't know, Bloom, but you see there never ever have been male fairies. He is the first of his kind, explained Musa. Bloom was shocked. But it seems that Stella knows him, said Bloom. The other girls just nodded. Not a second later, and the girls could hear Stella awaking. Stella! Shouted Bloom. Ugh, why are you guys so loud in the morning? Asked Stella. The others looked at each other before laughing. Haha, Stella, it's not morning anymore, explained Flora. When Stella heard that, she tried to sit up. The keyword here is tried, because as soon as she got up she felt a pain going through her whole body. Stella, shouted the girls in worry. You shouldn't move so fast, your body is still healing. Ugh, what the hell happened? Asked Stella. You don't remember? Asked Musa. Shaking her head, Stella tried to sit up, but much slower. The girls explained everything to Stella, from the tricks to her near-death experience. I am sorry, Stella, if I only had watched better you wouldn't be hurt, said Bloom, crying. Haha, what are you talking about, Bloom? You are my friend. Of course, I will protect you, said Stella with a smile. Bloom just cried harder and hugged Stella. Stella just patted her back. The other girls just smiled at them. By the way, Stella, you seem to know the boy, asked Tecna. Yes, Naruto, said Stella. Naruto? How do you know him? Asked Flora. I met him when we were kids. We played with each other that day. Funny thing, I was kidnapped the same day, and the one who rescued me was Naruto, so, in the end, he saved me twice, explained Stella while laughing. But I don't know much myself about him, only that he loves pizza and ice cream, chuckled Stella, remembering her time with Naruto. The others blinked. Yeah, when I told him that I was a princess, he told me how lucky I must be because I can eat pizza and ice cream anytime, and there is no limit on how much you can eat. The others chuckled at that. Now that he is here, I am sure we can finally be friends again, whispered Stella, with Naruto. Naruto was on his way to the office of his grandmother because she wanted to talk with him about something. Knock knock. Come in, heard Naruto. Opening the door, he stepped into the office. You wanted to talk to me, Grandma? Asked Naruto. Yes, please have a seat, aid Farragonda. Naruto nodded and sat in the chair in front of the desk. So what's up? Asked Naruto one more time. Farragonda looked at Naruto with narrowed eyes before sighing. Naruto, don't you think it's time you tell me why you care about Miss Stella so much? I know it's not because you are in love with her, so tell me, why do you care so much about her? I have never seen such strong reactions from you. Every time she is involved you lose your cool. Naruto, why do you protect Stella that much? Every time she would get an expulsion you step in and overturn it. Every time she is in trouble you take it upon yourself to save her. If it is someone other than her you wouldn't care, so why is she so special? Asked Farragonda, determined to find out the truth. Naruto was shocked at the beginning but calmed down, and after his grandmother finished asking he looked blankly into the room. For a few minutes he sat there saying nothing. Farragonda wanted to ask again when she heard him speak. Why wouldn't I? It's my job, said Naruto with a smile. Your job? Asked Farragonda, confused. Naruto looked at his grandmother with a smile. After all, it's the job of the older brother to protect his little sister, said Naruto. Farragonda's eyes widened themselves. Never in a million of thoughts would she have expected this answer, but then she remembered something. If he said that, then he knew that he was adopted. Naruto, began Farragonda. I know, Grandma, and it doesn't matter, you are still my grandma even if not by blood, explained Naruto. Farragonda got tears in her eyes. But what do you mean with that? Stella is your sister? Asked Faragonda. Sigh, Grandma, do you know the Book of Truth? Asked Naruto. Where did you hear that name? Asked Faragonda in shock. Well, it all began outside of the office. Outside the office was Bloom, as she wanted to ask the headmistress something. But when she wanted to knock, she heard her talking with someone. Why wouldn't I? It's my job, said Naruto with a smile. Your job? Asked Faragonda, confused. Naruto looked at his grandmother with a smile. After all, it's the job of the older brother to protect his little sister, said Naruto. At this, Bloom's eyes widened themselves. She couldn't believe what she heard. Bloom knew that Stella did not have sibling, she herself told it so, but Naruto was claiming something else. She had to tell Stella about it. If Naruto really is Stella's older brother, then why doesn't Stella know about him? Why does he keep quiet about it? Were the thoughts of Bloom while running back to her room. Well, it all began when I was 10 years old. I was really bored and I took a stroll through the school. At that time everyone had holidays, so I thought, why not? As I walked through the school, I came upon the library. With nothing to do, I thought that I could go in and find something interesting. Looking through the books, I saw this book called The Holy Flame. It piqued my interest. After I finished reading, I became curious. There stood so much about the great red dragon, but the black dragon was never mentioned. So I searched through the whole library but found nothing. Taking a break, I was a little depressed. I just wanted to know a little about me. And just as I thought that, I felt magical pulse, and in the next second a bookshelf began to move. I saw a path that was lit by torches, and at the end of the path, I saw an altar with a book on it. Well, you can guess what book it was, explained Naruto. I see, and what did you find out? Asked Faragonda. Naruto scowled a little at that. Not much, I suppose. Just who I really am and what happened on the day of my birth, and even there were little to no information, replied Naruto. Faragonda narrowed her eyes at that. For the Book of Truth not to know something, either it did not exist, or that subject was protected by something really strong. I see. I am sorry that you didn't get your desired information, said his grandma with a gentle voice. So what are you going to do now? Asked the principal. I do not know, said Naruto with a downcast look, and left the room with Bloom. Just as Bloom arrived in front of Stella's room, she stood still and thought again. There has to be a reason why he didn't tell her. If there is a good reason, then is it really okay to tell Stella, thought Bloom. Just as she could think deeper, she came back from her thought when she heard her name. Bloom, 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 shouted Musa. Wait, what? Shouted Bloom. Bloom, you coming in? Asked Flora. Oh yeah. Bloom, where have you been? Asked Stella with a bright smile. The moment Bloom saw that smile, something told her to not tell Stella about what she heard. You know, a little bit here and a little bit there, said Bloom with a chuckle. The girls giggled at that. With Naruto. After leaving his grandmother's office, Naruto strolled down the hall. As he was walking down the hall, Naruto kept thinking about yesterday's events, especially the one where he lost himself to his powers. If he were honest, he would say that he is scared of his power. No matter what he does, nothing helps. His powers are too great to control, no more like too chaotic, and after the events from yesterday, there is no way that he can use this kind of power anymore. Add to the fact that his powers are now even stronger since he got his Enchantix form, and you have someone with unlimited power who has no to little control over them. After what I did to the tricks, how can I know that I don't lose control again? Whispered Naruto to himself. Even if the tricks did harm his sister and her friend, what he did to them was too much. Deep in his thoughts, Naruto almost didn't hear the sound of steps. The keyword being almost. Reacting fast, Naruto used a camouflage spell and disappeared from view. Appearing on the school's rooftop, Naruto glanced at the night sky. Continuing his thoughts, Naruto would always look at the window of his sister. His sister was a topic he would like to talk, but he kept it a secret for so long. I am sorry, Granny, I still can't tell you the whole truth. Not right now, said Naruto to the night sky. It's been a week since that incident, and since then nobody has seen Naruto. Stella herself was looking for him, but just like his moniker, he is a shadow. The Winx right now are having a lesson in on of the surrounding forest of Alphea, and so was Naruto. In fact, he was the whole week in that forest. He has spent this week trying to figure out something. Naruto was sitting in the middle of a little sea meditating, but he was disrupted by some sound. Sapphire blue eyes were opened slowly. Looking in front of him, he saw a person. By the build of the body, he would say that it's male. But other than that, he couldn't tell anything else. His face was hidden in the shadows of his hoodie. "Who are you?" asked Naruto, getting tense. "Whoever this is, he is very powerful." "It depends," said the person, now confirming that he is male. "On what?" asked Naruto. "Your answer," stated the person. Naruto just stared at him, getting ready to fight. "I have seen you. Your fight with the witches was impressive," said the person as he took a seat on a log. "Even now I can sense your power even though you are suppressing it. Your power, it's vast, nothing I have ever seen before, but of course, I shouldn't have expected anything else from the holder of the cursed flame." Naruto, the fairy of demons. "What do you want?" asked Naruto again. "What I want?" "No, what do you want?" asked the man. Naruto just looked at him confused. "Don't you want to know why you can control your power?" Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. "If you want to know more, meet me at midnight at the rooftop of Alfea." And with these final words, the man stood up and went away, leaving Naruto alone again. Seconds later, Naruto heard more voices, but this time they were familiar. "What are they doing here?" thought Naruto as he stood up and went towards their direction. Arriving at the scene, Naruto saw some students of the Red Fountain School trapped by bows and the girls trying to set them free. If it weren't for what happened earlier, Naruto would have laughed. Deciding to observe for now, he watched how the girls were able to free them. He narrowed his eyes at the guy with the purple hair. Also, somehow the closeness between Bloom and that blondie bothered him. But he quickly put that feeling away. Trying to hear what they were talking, all he heard was that they searched for something. His first thought was to help them, but then he stopped and thought, how can I help them when I can only hurt them in the end? And with these dark thoughts, Naruto turned around and went to Alfea again. In the evening, Naruto once again went through the hallways of the school. His thoughts were the conversation between him and this man. He knew what he wanted. He was after his powers, and probably for no good reason. But he also was someone who could help him control his powers. But is it really worth to betray his family? He knew that sooner or later he had to use this power, but if you asked him, he would choose later, much later. Without realizing, he was in front of his sister's room. Surprised at what he did, he stood there looking at the nameplate where his sister's name stood. Stretching his arm in order to brush over her name, he noticed that something wet was on his face. Touching the place, he saw that it was tears. "I miss you so much. You can image how I want to hold you in my arms, being there for you. Playing games with you, just doing stuff that siblings do," said Naruto with tears in his eyes. "Why did I come to here? I avoided this place since you came here, so why am I here?" whispered Naruto to himself. Calming himself down, Naruto took a step back and looked one last time at her name. "I know now what I need to do. There is nothing more important than my family, and for you, I will do anything. I just hope you can forgive me," said Naruto. Turning around, Naruto made his way towards the rooftop. Arriving at the rooftop, Naruto saw the person he was supposed to meet. "You said you can help me control this cursed power," shouted Naruto. "Of course." "Fine, then I will come with you," said Naruto as he went towards the man. As he arrived, he heard someone calling his name, Naruto. Hearing his name, he turned around and saw his grandmother. "Naruto, you don't have to do it. You know that he only will use you," shouted Farragonda. "Ah, headmistress, long time no seen," said the man. "Eric, what are you doing? I thought that you died," asked Farragonda, shocked. Eric just smirked. "Well, I would like to stay and talk about old times, but as you can see, I have an apprenticing now," said Eric. He put his hands on Naruto's shoulder and started floating upwards. Up in the sky, Eric looked once again at Farragonda. "Here is a little present for you," said Eric before he formed a sphere and let it fall at the school. The moment the sphere touched the ground, it exploded. It would have destroyed the school if Farragonda didn't contain the explosion. Looking up, Farragonda could see Naruto looking at her with sadness in his eyes. She may not have heard him, but she was able to read his lips. "You idiot, why, just why?" cried Farragonda, still trying to hold the explosion. "Because of the noises that they were causing, the students went outside in order to see what's happening." Naruto, also seeing that, looked at them, especially at Stella. And what he saw broke his heart. The betrayed look on her face hurt more than 1,000 blades stabbing him. But he has to be strong for her. Looking at the men and giving him a nod, they then disappeared in a black vortex. The moment they disappeared, the explosion also vanished. Huffing, Farragonda looked at the place where they have been. Calming down, she shouted to the students to go back to their dorms. Doing as they were told, the students once again entered the building. Farragonda watched as the students went inside. She saw the Winx, and what she saw tugged at her heart. When she saw Stella's blank face, she couldn't help but wonder why Naruto betrayed them. It's been a week now since Naruto had left, and the Winx have been trying to cheer Stella up, unsuccessfully. Come on, Stella, you've got to eat at least. I made some soup for you, Bloom said while standing in front of Stella's room and holding a bowl of soup in her hands. But she still didn't respond. After the incident with Naruto, she decided to shut herself in her room, only opening the door when Farragonda herself came to visit. A sigh was all Bloom could muster after standing in front of Stella's room for a few minutes without a reply in sight. Still no response? Flora asked with a tired smile. Nothing. Bloom shook her head. Let's try again later, Bloom. We can't force her if she doesn't want to come out, Flora suggested, not only worrying about Stella but also about Bloom. She's been too preoccupied with trying to get Stella back on her feet to notice that she hasn't been eating all that much herself in the past few days. Right. As they were about to head back to their own room, Mrs. Farragonda came through the door to check up on Stella. Headmistress! Exclaimed Flora. Mrs. Farragonda just smiled kindly at her before looking at Bloom. So Stella still refuses to go out? She asked with a concerned voice. Yes, she even refuses to eat. Naruto's betrayal hit her harder than we thought, Bloom explained whilst looking at Stella's room with sad eyes. Farragonda too looked at the door, and heaved a sigh before walking up to it and knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Stella, it's me, Farragonda. Could you open up the door, please? Silence continued for a while before the sound of a lock turning could be heard and the door to Stella's room opened by itself. Mrs. Farragonda slightly smiled at the girls before going inside. The state of the room was nothing like it used to be. What had been a cheerful and sunny arrangement of colors before was now but a withered shell of its former glory. Everything in the room looked like it had the colors drained out of it, the once colorful queen-sized bed merely a gray husk. And lying in that bed, beneath the blankets, was Stella, looking like a total mess. Seeing her in this state, Mrs. Farragonda made up her mind. Stella, how are you, dear? She asked with a fond smile. Looking at Stella in this state, she couldn't help but remember that Naruto also used to be like that when he was sad. Thinking about those times, she felt a pang in her heart. Now that he was gone, she could see some similarities between the two. And the more she thought about it, the more obvious it became. But still, Stella remained silent. How about this, Stella? I will tell you something about Naruto, but in return you need to move on for now. Return to who you once were. A sad face doesn't suit you. And it's not like you're all alone now, right? You've still got your friends to look after you. Mrs. Farragonda continued, hoping to catch her attention and keeping her mind off of the events that had transpired. Hearing Naruto's name, Stella's body stiffened before she turned around to face Mrs. Farragonda and see Bloom and Flora standing at the door. And you're not lying? Stella asked in a soft whisper. Mrs. Farragonda just nodded at that, noticing that Naruto's betrayal had really taken her harder than she thought. Stella just stared into Mrs. Farragonda's eyes for a few moments to convince herself, and after that she looked over to her friends. Can I still have some soup? She asked with uncertainty in her every word and movement. Upon hearing her say that, Bloom and Flora smiled widely at each other before Bloom went over to Stella to give her the soup she had made. An hour later we find all 5 of the Winx in Mrs. Farragonda's office, waiting for the headmistress to finally say something. Stella, is there something specific you want to know about? Why did he leave? Stella asked without batting an eyelash. Mrs. Farragonda could only sigh at the question. To be honest, I'm not too sure about that myself. Since the incident with the tricks, he's been very distant to me, so I don't know exactly what was going through his head at the time. After hearing this, Stella turned even more depressed. It was the single most frustrating question that she had ever wondered about in her life. Ever since Naruto had left, she had repeatedly been asking herself this same question day in, day out, never coming to an answer. But I can at least tell you one of his reasons, Farragonda said with a serious tone. Please, please tell me. Stella pleaded with newfound hope in her voice. Hope that there was an honest reason behind his actions that day, not lust for power. Naruto is afraid of his powers. He has always been, and will most likely forever be. Ever since he was but a child, he has been working hard on trying to control them. Because he knew that if he did not, he would hurt a lot of people. People that are close to him. As Farragonda explained, she walked around the room, staring into the distance all the while. What exactly is his power, Mrs. Farragonda? Tekna asked, wondering what could be so powerful while at the same time so hard to control. Mrs. Farragonda paused as she looked at the framed picture hanging on the wall behind her desk. A picture of Naruto and her as they were celebrating his 10th birthday. Tell me, Musa, what do you know about the creation of magics and all other dimensions, eh? Well, the great red dragon kinda created everything with its breath of fire? It's also the creator of fairies. Musa tried explaining, a little confused by the question. She didn't get what anything of this had to do with Naruto's powers. Yes, that is indeed quite correct. However, it is not the complete truth. Mrs. Farragonda turned around, putting her hands on her desk. There is more to it than just that. A part of a whole which has been kept secret for centuries. She said, shocking them all. What do you mean by that, Mrs. Principal? Flora asked, confusion apparent on her face. Everything is in balance. Where there is light there shall also be shadows. Life and death, good or bad. If you want to have something, you'll need to give something in exchange. That's the principle of creation. So, should creation not also have a counterpart to balance it? Destruction. Bloom whispered, that's quite right, Bloom. There was not only one dragon, but two. Mrs. Farragonda said, holding up 2 fingers, 2 to make it whole. The great red dragon with the holy flame of creation and its counterpart. Mrs. Farragonda's voice turned deeper, the great black dragon with the cursed flame of destruction. It is said that countless eons before, the 2 dragons fought each other, creating and destroying as the battle raged on. In the end, the great red dragon emerged victorious, but was unable to defeat the great black dragon for good. To recover from the wounds he suffered in battle and to hide from the great black dragon, he created everything we know, hiding within one of his creations. Naturally, his counterpart swore to take revenge, still searching for him to this day. Mrs. Farragonda stated, walking up and down the room as she spoke. But Mrs. Farragonda, what does that have anything to do with Naruto? Stella asked, getting impatient to know for what reason he could have left them. It's because he has the powers of the great black dragon, Stella. And like the story told, his fate is to fight the one holding the great red dragon's power of the holy flame. Mrs. Farragonda uttered, turning around to face Stella. And that means you. Bloom, she said, spinning her head to look at Bloom. What? And me? But I just got my fairy form last week. How can you be so sure? Bloom spluttered, shocked by the revelation. It has merely been a few weeks that she even knew fairies existed, and now she's supposed to have some great dragon's powers in her? Trust me, Bloom, you may have just learned how to turn into a fairy, but I can sense a vast power hiding inside of you. Power yet untapped, only waiting to be unleashed. And adding to that the fact that they are quite similar in nature to Naruto's, there's just no doubt about it. You hold the great red dragon's holy flame inside yourself. Bloom only remained silent at that, letting the words sink in, but it still doesn't explain why he left. If he wanted to fight Bloom, wouldn't he have stayed? He just could have tricked us into thinking he was nice. He did trick us. Stella only mumbled the last part, coming to her own realization quickly. Mrs. Farragonda looked at Stella, the girl on the verge of tears. She went over to her, wiping away a tear that threatened to fall. Of course he didn't, Stella. How could you think that for even a moment? Mrs. Farragonda comforted her in a soothing voice. Naruto has always been a kind boy, watching out for others and putting their needs before his own. To be honest, he's the only reason you're still attending Althea. I have long since lost count of how many times he's bailed you out. She continued, chuckling at the memories. Sniff why would he do that? Stella asked through barely withheld sobs. Mrs. Farragonda could only shake her head at the questions. Who knows? But after seeing what he did to the tricks, he became terrified of himself. Coupling that with his becoming an Enchantix fairy, which doubled his already tremendous and uncontrollable powers, and you get a fairy who's not only afraid of himself but has also got almost unlimited powers without any resemblance of control over them. Having realized that, he turned to the only person who he thought could help him. Eric. Mrs. Farragonda replied, spitting the name with barely withheld disgust. Mrs. Farragonda, who is this Eric? Bloom returned her attention to the conversation, deciding that there's better things to worry about instead of powers she may or may not have hidden inside of herself. A long time ago, Eric was a great wizard. He and Saladin were great friends, but one day he suddenly became engrossed with the cursed flames, researching them and trying to get their powers for himself. For that purpose he has done things that are better left unsaid, and for that he paid the price. We had thought he was long since dead, but apparently he has returned. And it seems stronger than ever. Mrs. Farragonda exemplified while shaking her head, voice grim. But doesn't that mean? Bloom started that he'll use Naruto for his own benefits. Stella finished. I am afraid that is indeed the case. Mrs. Farragonda replied, frowning at the uncertain future ahead. Somewhere else, in a dark room, we can see a figure floating above the ground. The body surrounded by a blue substance that was also acting as the only light source in this dark room. Looking closer, we can see that it is a male and that he is in some kind of sleep since his chest was rising and falling. The male has blonde hair and 3 whisker marks on his face. He also has a headband around his forehead with a metal plate on it. On the metal plate, a symbol is engraved that looks similar to a leaf. He is also wearing a dark orange mixed with black tracking suit. His jacket is open and a shirt made of metal chains can be seen. On top of his chest, a green gem is resting. The gem is bounded by a string that is around his neck. You could also definitely tell that he was in some kind of a fight, and a big one if the injuries that are all over his body are an indicator. Suddenly a growl could be heard, and behind the floating boy 2 large blood-red slitted eyes open, looking down on the boy. The time is near for you to wake up, partner. The end.